man, story time. Story time, story time. This one is crazy. Stay to the end because how it starts and how it ends, you're not gonna believe it. I'm just telling you now. I had this housekeeper. She was a little older, and so she was about to be retiring, and I was about to not have a housekeeper. Now, I keep my house somewhat tidy, but I always like to have a housekeeper come in, do all the little stuff that I don't like to do, clean the refrigerator out, or all that kind of stuff, right? Dust, all that kind of stuff, right? So my friend, or who I thought was my friend, referred me to this lady who was a housekeeper. I'm like, cool, I'll try her out. She comes the first time. I always like to leave when the housekeeper there because I just always do, right? So I told her what, the other lady did. She did it, came back to the house completely immaculate. Like, she overdid everything. Like, I mean, she washed clothes. I didn't even tell her to wash clothes. She did it all in like a couple of hours, right? So I was like, boom, she hired. And she was a nice looking girl, but I would, never go there or anything like that, right? Or so I thought.
Yeah, boy.
She's working for me for like maybe 2 months at this point, and she's doing an absolutely fabulous job. I have no complaints whatsoever. So one day in particular, I'm working upstairs and I'm an insurance broker. So I'm calling these people about, life insurance, trying to get these families set up. And it was like a family of like 45 people who was all trying to get policies. And it was a real stressful situation. Like, I've been on the phone like all day. So she had came in, she had overheard me because I was on the phone or whatever. So she was downstairs cleaning. She brought me up a sandwich and something to drink, and I was just like, thank you. I mean, because I didn't have time to go eat. I didn't even think about it, and I was starving and it's getting frustrated. So I'm eating the sandwich and stuff like that, and like she was very intuitive, and she was a good listener and everything. So like, she used to give me like little suggestions on how to deal with people or handle people, like just out the blue, like just from overhearing my conversations on the phone, because she would be cleaning up while I was working. But the whole time I was like, she would be in the house. Cause don't get me wrong, she was a nice looking girl. I would always think of that Jerry Seinfeld episode where Jerry started messing with the housekeeper, then came to find out she was a prostitute, and they get, he get banged up at the end or whatever. That would always be in the back of my mind while she would be there, because I'd be thinking, I'd be like, all right. So one day in particular, like, she was super like just off. Like, she was rushing. She was just like not herself normally. Usually she cleans up about 3-4 hours, the whole house, knocks everything out. I always paid her in cash, and she would did. And she would always say, like, after she was done, she'd always be like, well, I'm about to spend this in the next 5 minutes. And I'd be like, this particular day, she like was done like in an hour, and I would always leave the money out or whatever. She had got done so quick, she had to ask me for it, and that's why I gave it to her. And she like dipped. Like, she usually be like, all right, I'll see you later. She just dipped, right? And so the next time she came to clean, she was just like, there's something I need to tell you. And I'm like, what's up? And she was like, she basically told me she had feelings for me. She wanted, she thought like she could, we could be more. And like, I was like, on the fence, because I was like, never really thought of her like that. But she was a nice looking girl. She definitely kept the house together, kept me together. Like, during the day she was there. So I was like, sort of considered it. But she was like, there's something I have to tell you first. And so she came and like sat in my lap, like, and then she, looked at me, and, she was just rubbing on my head, and she was just like, I've got to tell you something. And I'm like, tell me what? And she's like, I have a bit of a drug problem. Now, I'm thinking, she think probably because I don't smoke or something like that. Or she thinking like, oh, I can't smoke around him or something like that. Something, because she about to tell me she smoked weed. And she's like, I was like, what? You smoke weed or something like that? And she's like, no, I don't even like weed. And I'm like, okay, what is we about to talk about? And she's like,
yeah, over the last couple months that I've been cleaning the house and stuff like that, I usually do drugs while I'm cleaning, and
And I'm like, doing drugs while you cleaning? And she's like,
yeah, sometimes I'll do like a couple bumps of cocaine, or just something to get me through the day, or what I'm saying, maybe I'll heat up some heroin and inject it.
And I'm like, heat up some heroin and inject it? And she like,
yeah, it was one day that I actually OD'd, here at the house, and you weren't here, and I just was sort of like passed out, gargling or whatever for like a few hours. And then when I finally came to, I finished cleaning up, and I just, left or whatever.
And I was just like, you OD'd in my house? And I'm like, listen, when I tell you all, you would never, this person did not look like a Pookie from New Jack City. She had no crackhead indications whatsoever. She didn't steal. She didn't do anything. I always leave money out, like crazy, like amounts of money, change, value valuables, all that stuff. Never stole anything, never did anything like that. So I'm completely surprised right now, like completely surprised. And she's just like, yeah, you know, I'm like, so what's your drug? Like, what you be doing? And she'd be like,
it's usually pills, heroin, you know, sometimes meth.
and she's telling me this with a straight face, like, and she's just like,
But I'm gonna go to rehab. And when I get out of rehab, I wanna actually date you.
and in my head, I'm like, you do drugs? It just totally, like, I was blown away. I'm just like, this chick does drugs. Like, she's a real life drug user. She got OD'd at my house and everything. And I'm like, I'm still trying to think, like, back to all the time she done been at my house and all this stuff. And so, like, I'm thinking, okay, the time I was in my room working and I heard her drop something in the kitchen, that was her falling on the floor, passing out, gargling off of heroin? What? Make a long story short, she tells me, you know, she's gonna go to rehab and she, you know, wants to, you know, pursue a relationship with me when she gets out of rehab. And I'm in my head, I'm like, ain't no way. And it's like, yeah, ain't no way. She goes to rehab. I have to find another housekeeper. I didn't hear from her for like a year. And then when I finally heard from her, she texted me she inboxed me on Facebook and she was like,
Yeah, you know, I went to rehab, I got out, started seeing this other guy, and everything's going great, and I'm pregnant, and I was just wondering if you needed another housekeeper.
and I'm just like, you pregnant, about to get married, and you just got out of rehab? That's not in the 12 steps. You skipping steps. It's not a 12-step move. You don't, whatever. So I didn't respond. I just, you know, act like I ain't see it, left her on red and moved on. Had to find another housekeeper. Took me forever to find another housekeeper. Housekeepers, is a shortage of good housekeepers. So if you know one, inbox me. But that's just another sad, depressing dating experience. I guess that wasn't even a date, but you know what I mean. I'll see you in the next one.